folks, but I do want to thank Corky Bells for hosting us here, and I'm glad everything's going well here. We also have with us Dane Eagle, who's the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity Secretary. We have the Sheriff of Putnam County, Gator Deloach, is here with us. We have Senator Travis Hudson. You have Putnam too? Is this a part of your district? Yeah. You know, people, like some of my people ask me, it's like, hey, Travis Hudson's running, you know, that he wants you to endorse him. So I said I will endorse him. So I'm endorsing you for Senate. From the town of Wielaka, we have Mayor Jamie Watts with us here today.
Thank you, Governor.
Yes, Council President Jessica Finch, Councilwoman Tanya Long, Town Clerk Megan Allman, and Town Attorney Patrick Kennedy. So thank you all for coming. And we're also joined today by a friend of mine named Johnny Morris. He's a conservationist. He is a landowner here in Putnam County. And you may know him because he's the founder of Bass Pro Shops, which is very popular. So before I get with today's announcement, which I think will be exciting for Putnam County and will continue to move our economy forward, our conservation efforts forward, and really everything we've done to work hand in hand, I do just want to say a few things about the brutal inflation that we continue to see in this country. And if you go back last year, Biden said we will not have any inflation. They printed trillions of dollars and were warned, not just by people like me, but people that worked for Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. These liberal economists said if you print this amount of money, you are going to spark a really significant inflation. And that was on the back of coming into office in January of 2021 and declaring war on American energy production. So you look now, you know, Biden's in the Middle East. He's going to go beg the Saudis and beg OPEC for oil. But part of the reason is because he kneecapped production here in the United States. And we had been energy independent functionally when he became president. And now we've taken huge steps back. And so the energy costs have really helped fuel all this inflation, not just at the gas pump, but also what you see in grocery stores, and every single small business is impacted by this. And so this has really been devastating to workers. It's been devastating to senior citizens on fixed income. It's been devastating to small businesses. And it is, unfortunately, a result of very poor policy choices that we've seen made over and over again. I don't see them recognizing that and being willing to reverse course, but this is, and in fact, not only they say there wouldn't be inflation, then they said it'd be maybe a blip, and then they said it was Putin's fault, and then this, and you know, it's accelerated. The print that came out yesterday accelerated. That was not slowing down. That was a 1.2% increase just over the month. Which is really, really significant, and that annualizes at more than the 9.1%. 9.1 is looking back a year up until the present. So this is a huge, huge problem. You know, so in Florida, what we do is we actually manage things properly when it comes to fiscal and budget and economy. You notice this restaurant here, you know, I was just talking to the owners. They probably would have gone out of business if we hadn't kept them open during COVID. And we saved the jobs of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people in this state and many thousands of small family-owned businesses by making sure that we were a free state. If you look at Florida's economic performance, we've outperformed the nation on just about every metric. Our unemployment rate is significantly lower than the nation. One thing that I think is significant about Florida is our labor force has grown much faster than the overall national rate. And part of that is because we had the state open. We understood that people had a right to work, business had a right to open. But things started really picking up here because there were only so many places you could go in this country and actually be free. You want to take a trip to California and have them shake you down for medical papers just to go buy a cheeseburger somewhere or to do all this? No, people don't want. They wanted to visit Florida. They wanted to move to all these different things. People wanted to invest here. But our labor force grew. What you're seeing in a lot of these other places is, and this is why the unemployment rate can be a little bit deceiving, some of these other places have just had, they still haven't recovered their labor force. You had COVID, you had a lot of these bureaucrats saying, telling people to stay home and not work. They did trillions of dollars flushed into the economy, and a lot of people just totally fell out of the workforce from March and April of 2020 until the present. And so that's been a very sticky thing around. And we've dealt with it too. We've got job openings here, but our labor force has been able to recover. Why that matters is that, that helps drive inflation too. When you don't have a strong labor force, when people have done out. Now, I like tight labor markets because it allows people to get higher wages, which I think is really, really good. But on the flip side, you do want able-bodied people to be in the workforce. You don't want people to be on the sideline based on government policy. And so we've really led, and what we said was, when Biden did the additional unemployment benefits, we said no thank you to that because we had jobs available in the state of Florida. There's no reason to pay people not to work when you had a plentiful amount of jobs available. I understand during COVID when there was a lot of businesses not hiring, then people needed relief. But here in Florida, we believe in reemployment assistance, not unemployment. We want people to, if they fall down, to get help up, but the goal is to get them back into a job and get them working. So we've had that structured the whole time here in the state of Florida, and we've been much better off. And then from a budget perspective, we're now in fiscal year 22-23 starting July 1st. We finished last year's fiscal June 30th. The budget was about $102 billion for the year, and we now know that our surplus is almost $22 billion for last. That's the largest we've ever had in the state's history. And that's with no income tax. And then we've done a whole bunch of tax relief since I've been governor. We just did another $1.2 billion for this current fiscal year. So there's a lot of tax holidays. Some are for the full year. Some will be for specified periods of time. I know, my wife and I, we got a 5, a 4, and a 2-year-old. The 2-year-old is not fully out of diapers, and so we get tax-free diapers, and many other parents get that too. Not a bad thing to have, especially if they go through a lot of them. So there's a whole host of things that we've been able to do there to say, but we are fiscally in the strongest position that the state of Florida has ever been in modern history. And that's really, no one would have predicted that coming out of COVID. In fact, when COVID hit, people said because of tourism that our tourism would be shot and that we wouldn't have really the ability to have the economy thrive at all in the state of Florida. And we proved them wrong pretty much every step of the way. But certainly now when you look at it, you see. So what we're doing in Florida is we are trying to do whatever we can to protect the people of this state against the ravages of Bidenflation. We're trying to protect them against these bad policies coming out of Washington, D.C., and we're charting our own course that is a course that's proven to be successful. And so we're now in a position, you look at the budget we just signed into law, $1.2 billion in tax cuts, the most we've ever done, big budget surplus. We did the biggest increase in law enforcement compensation in the history of the state. You look at the pay increases for our state law enforcement, massive increases in salary, and then for all the state, local, and county, they hire new law enforcement, they get a $5,000 signing bonus. So that's going to be a huge, huge thing for a lot of people that are looking to escape some of these terrible jurisdictions where the police are treated horribly by the politicians and by the activists and everything like that. And oh, by the way, when they're treated horribly and they don't get support, what happens to the crime rate? It goes through the roof. So you've had a lot of people, a lot of vulnerable, innocent people that have been damaged significantly because of these terrible pro-criminal, anti-law enforcement policies in places like San Francisco, Chicago, and all these other places. So we've not done that, and I think you're going to see, the bonuses just became effective July 1st, but I think you're going to see huge amount of people applying for jobs at our municipal law enforcement agencies, our sheriff's departments, and the state agencies. And that's going to make the state safer because we're going to be a place where qualified people want to come. We also did biggest increase in teacher pay in the history of the state of Florida in this past year. And we're now going to be able to do even more to recruit teachers into the profession at a college, and we're also going to be rolling out a number of great proposals for next year about how we can build off that momentum. You know, we've done so much, and today's going to go into not just economic development, but also our conservation efforts. We've done more to protect the water quality and improve it in the state of Florida since I've been governor that has ever been done in the history of this state. If you look at what we've done in the Everglades, you look at what we've done in our springs, you look at what we've done across the board, we've put our money where our mouth is, we've got good policy, we've got good support financially, and we're getting great results. We're not done, we're going to do a lot more, but you see how important these waterways are to our way of life in the state of Florida, not just culturally, economically, and the whole 9 yards. So we're proud of being able to do, you know, I promised we would do $1 billion more in my 4 years than was done the previous for water resources and water quality efforts, and we actually did much more than what I promised. We more than doubled, my 4 years more than doubled the previous 4 years in terms of support, and so that's a huge, huge thing. We're really proud of that. So, and then infrastructure. You know, we've done so much on infrastructure, and we've been able to do projects. This is an example of one. We've done so many things across this state to help. And, you know, I really work hard on a lot of our fiscally constrained counties. I'm the only governor that I think anyone can remember. I've done public events in all 67 counties in the state of Florida. You know, I've gone to places they've never seen a governor before. You know, but when we go, we're usually delivering. I usually don't come empty-handed. We're usually delivering support. And so these are communities. And the thing is some of our really big populous areas, you know, we've helped and there's a lot. But, you know, you do some support in some of the rural communities, it goes a long way. They really can make good use of it. So we've used our Job Growth Grant Fund, our Rural Infrastructure Fund, and actually we got record funding on the rural infrastructure in this year's budget. So we've been doing that because it's important that we're there helping all 67 counties, you know, not just the handful that have, you know, a lot of population, and really stick to that. So we've done that, and today's a good example of doing that. We got more to do on infrastructure. We're going to have some good announcements on that going forward. We want to make, you know, the state's always grown really in the last 50-some years, 60 years, but it's growing. And look, I'm not asking anyone to come. I mean, if I could do an immigration system, and I'd probably do it. That's just people can move where they want in our country, and the fact is, people are fleeing poorly run states, and they're trying to go to states that are respecting people's ability to work and do business and freedoms and all that. And so people, they want to be safe in law and order states. So there's all those different things. And so we understand that, but we also understand that requires us to do more on infrastructure. And so we are going to be doing that 100%. So we're clicking, we're getting the job done. You know, people sometimes ask me, you know, what could be done with all the mess in Washington? And I say, you know what? You know, if we could just get a time machine and go back to January 20th, 2021, just do the opposite of everything Biden's done, we'd probably be in really good shape. But that's just not in the cards for us. So. All right, so why are we here today? We're here today because we have an opportunity through my office and working with Dane's department using the Governor's Job Growth Grant Fund to provide support for infrastructure for Putnam County in a way that will contribute to efforts at maintaining a good natural environment, but also expanding the economic base. And so we have right here, and I'm announcing a check for $3.5 million to the town of Wielaka to update and expand the town's aging wastewater infrastructure facilities. And so the existing businesses in the area that want to expand or new businesses who want to open in the area have been limited by the current infrastructure availability in terms of the wastewater. This award, the town of Weelaca and Putnam County will benefit from the sustainability of the infrastructure. We are anticipating that this will bring almost 1,900 new jobs to the area. We're also estimated to have a fiscal impact of over $5 million to the community. And then this, of course, will also help safeguard nearby water resources by increasing the capacity of the plant. We believe that this makes the community more economically resilient, environmentally resilient, and we think that this helps provide a foundation for more great things to happen in Putnam County. So I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to be able to hear from some folks. But before we do it, I will present the check to the town of Weelaca.